Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 340th episode of the Geek First podcast. Oh, there's so many good nicknames for this one, but I am the little bird. Trust now.
Adam Hartcaster, Dylan Moss.
I am the sadist, Kirklin Patzer.
Wow. I'm Doc Taylor Field.
Yeah, tune into our bloopers 2020 because you'll find out why
2020.
Kirklin said that. But if you didn't, then you don't know. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a review for Birds of Prey and one emancipation of the Fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Yeah, maybe they shouldn't have called it that. But go check out.
I think it's a nice title.
It's something, all right. So we're gonna do that as usual. We do our review and then we get into spoilers. We'll drop the 3, 2, 1. Somebody will say Geek versus Assemble. We'll figure that out in just a second. Before that, check out the newscast we did last week, which was the MCU predictions. Check out me, Liam, and Dylan did Oscar's prediction. That's happening this Sunday. So hopefully somebody gets all those right. I've won 3 years in a row, so I'm going for
Oh yeah, I'm definitely
number 4.
gonna lose. But
Number 4. It's all about
I'm
Liam.
just there for the fans.
It's all about this is your first year, but Liam, like
Liam's opinions are just wild.
You heard
I
some of
love
those
it.
takes, you know.
I love it. I loved it so much.
Salty garbage.
Go listen to that. It was hilarious.
And then next week we're doing Sonic, so that should be interesting. Yeah, higher, further, faster. And I feel like there's something else happening too. Oh, Patreon! If you love DC, you love Birds of Prey, check out our exclusive Suicide Squad commentary track. It's lots of fun. If you enjoy this review, you'll enjoy that. That's at the $5 tier. Next, in the next month, we're probably gonna be recording the Mortal Kombat one, which should be spicy. And then, if you haven't, as always, Taylor, where can they find us on the social media?
The internet connection, ladies and gentlemen. Geek vs. Space podcast on Facebook, particularly because we're going to have some polls dropping in there soon.
I thought it was February 1st. That's
February
7 days
1st?
ago.
Is that a thing?
You
Was
said that on
stated?
Clone Wars Retro. And you're
Did
like,
I
yeah.
really?
You're like, yeah, I think I can have it ready.
Did you guys get that notification on Facebook that's like, here's how our face recognition software works, and make sure you know your settings.
Yeah. I was like, no.
I'm not signing into this shit ever
turn
again.
off.
And then if you haven't before, subscribe, like, rate, review. We got a big few 10 weeks in front of us, so we appreciate all the love, all the thanks, and as far as spreading around. If you listen to us, please subscribe. If you think a friend would like us, let us know. Spread the word. Well, let us know. Let the friend know. Say, hey, you might like these fine young chaps.
Or let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Keep us in the loop.
Yeah,
Right.
whatever it may be. But
Or tell that guy's friend to tell him.
Yeah.
Anything works. Really.
Anything
as long as the
you're-
word gets to him. Send him a letter.
Yeah.
Don't send him a letter.
As long as it's not a sentence that's geek first and sucks or lame, we're good to go. So please, thank you for the next 10 weeks. You really support us. As always, support us. But here we go. Birds of Prey review. Who wants to start off this bad boy?
I'll start it off.
Let's do it.
I'll do it.
Let's do it.
Birds of Prey.
gonna
This
call you
is.
out.
Did you want to go?
No, go
Taylor,
for it.
go.
Go for it. No,
Taylor never wants
By
to
all
go
means,
first.
I feel bad.
I want you to take the wheel for this one.
I'll
By
take the
all
wheel.
means.
Okay, Birds of Prey. I really like this movie. I think it's a lot of. I think it's a really fun movie. The way I describe it, and I feel like a lot of people would describe it, is that it's essentially Deadpool, but with Harley Quinn and friends instead of Deadpool and his friends. And I think that's a perfect description for it. Like, this movie is pretty savage with the R-ratedness. There's a lot of fucking crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
A lot of vulgar language, you could say. But overall, it's just like a really fun movie. It's very colorful, very bright. Like, the costume design is great throughout.
Mhm.
Like, so many characters have so many like iconic looks in here. I like this storytelling of this movie, like the way it's told, the way it's narrated. However, I think the plot, like, there's a lot. Like, this movie just has so many like contrived things in it, and it's kind of ridiculous, but it didn't really bother me when I was watching it. It was more like when I was thinking afterwards how like silly some of the stuff is, but it didn't really like matter at the same time. I don't know. It's like the movie doesn't take itself all that seriously. It's just kind of fun, bombastic, very colorful, over the top. And yeah, I really enjoy. I like the music as well. The music choices. There's a couple like cool remixes in there as well. And then I think the thing I liked about the most maybe is that it doesn't like overstay its welcome. It's like a clean. Like, you're out of the theater in less than 2 hours. And I really appreciate that. Movies have, I don't know why we've just approached this thing where movies are just so long now.
I feel like they used to average like an hour and a half. Now they're just getting longer.
I know, like between an hour and a half and 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have like a little bit of a shorter movie, because then, I don't know, you don't get like burnt out on it and you're just in it the whole time. This movie has tons and tons of action, like more than any comic book movie I can think of in the last like years. Honestly, it's tons of action, which I wasn't really expecting. But was all really good at. Like, there's some fun set pieces, but it's also just like very over the top. and crazy and silly, and I just had a lot of fun with it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Like we said, that's 2 for 2 for you because you like Joker, you like
DC.
this. DC,
Yeah, it's on a bit of a
know.
hot streak.
Yeah.
You know,
Wonder Woman, finger crossed.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I don't think I'm gonna see that, to be honest.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
in theaters at least, but
At some
I'll get
point.
around to it at some point, and
Mhm.
maybe I'll enjoy it. But I guess in terms of recommendation, definitely go see this in the theater. Go support this movie. Like, it's not really doing anything different, I don't think, within the genre, but it's just I guess it's just a fun take on like these characters and this kind of world. So I would say go see it in the theaters. It's worth it. And you know, Margot Robbie and crew, like, they're all great. I like all the characters. Margot Robbie's just a legend, obviously. She's had like a producer kind of role in this movie too. So just go support this movie because she's great. And if you want to see more of this, you know, people keep talking about, like, already on Twitter, I'm seeing like everyone just demanding sequels and stuff. I think for me, like, DC movies right now, like, I'm like Taylor with Zombieland, like, one and done. Like, that's all I want, you know, just get me in, get me out. I don't want to worry about the future. Like, I just don't trust DC enough yet. You know, I just want to do one movie, just fucking cool it. Let's do one movie and move on, you know? That's my stance on that. But
how many people were in your guys' theater?
I saw it at 1
you
in the
saw it,
afternoon,
yeah, right.
so I had about like 15.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah,
but
mine
you
was
guys?
probably 70-80% full, so not
Yeah.
even sold out on like opening night,
So
prime time.
opening night at the Extreme Theater, I had 5 people, including
Yeah.
myself
Wow.
and
Yeah.
a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
It's doing
But
it's
didn't it make
doing
like 4 million Thursday night.
but it's
opening?
pretty low. It's coming in below expectations. It's kind of like I said this on Twitter. It's a lot like it's gonna open the same as Spider-Verse, so it'll be profitable, but it's not as much as I think they were hoping for. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of reasons, which I think I'll do a cast on soon here. But
Travis
yeah.
told you gonna anti-Travis told you this one?
Well, because it's tough. Because like I feel like they hit the Guardians of like the vibe of it. But my only hope is like the next few weeks. You got Sonic next week. I don't think that's gonna do well.
Yeah.
And Valentine's Day. So the next few weeks up
Maybe,
until
yeah.
Invisible Man, I'm hoping word of mouth. But
I saw
yeah.
so many people saying that they thought the like advertising for this movie was really off, and I don't think I understand that. Like, I feel like the tone like was very well set from the trailers, and I think they did some creative stuff with like the It one where she was smashing the balloons or whatever it was.
yeah.
And I think it was like, I feel like it was everywhere. Like, I saw it all over the place. So I don't know. I don't really know where that.
Yeah, some people
That
say
narrative
that. I think there's
is
a lot of
coming
people
from.
that didn't enjoy the trailers, which I like them all. I know Kirklin. I think you
I was
like
a little
them,
iffy
but
on
you're a
them.
little iffy.
Yeah.
And I do think even though it is a fun title, I do think the title is part of a problem too. I think they should have just called it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey or something like that. Like Harley Quinn should have been the main thing because
I
I
agree.
think there's some people like, what the fuck is Birds of Prey? Even if you just see it, right? But then you can counter and say, well, Suicide Squad, and that was a massive hit. So
Yeah.
we'll see throughout
No,
the next weeks.
For
but,
sure. I've had to
yeah.
explain a few people at work. It's just like, oh, Birds of Prey. And they're like, oh, who's in that one? And I'm like, Harley Quinn. They're like, oh, right on. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's from Suicide
Yeah.
Okay.
Squad, right?
It's
So
the
maybe I'm
Bumble-
just in the circle where we know about this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Bumblebee thing, right? I'm sure they've called like Bumblebee a Transformers story or something like that. You know,
Yo.
like lots of people say, oh, like who the fuck's Bumblebee? It's like, oh, it's that one guy from,
From the
Transformers.
Book of
oh,
Saw.
yeah. You're from, yeah, exactly. From the book.
Transformer made me do it.
Yeah, yeah. Kirkland, I want to hear
Yeah.
from you because you were the most kind of, I'd say, iffy leading up to this.
Yeah, I was. I wasn't too sure how I was feeling on it going into it. I was expecting, I feel like, another like Suicide Squad like ensemble film where it's not just Harley Quinn and then these other characters like with her. Like, it was really like you got I don't know, all the members that were in.
Canary,
Yeah,
Huntress,
yeah, exactly.
Renee
So
Montoya.
going into it, and right off the bat, I definitely got the Deadpool vibes, like what Dylan mentioned, how she was like narrating it, kind of giving like a backstory, breaking the fourth wall at times and stuff like that. So it was, I really liked it. It was very colorful. Harley Quinn was amazing. She was 10 out of 10 for sure. And I was pleasantly surprised. I had a lot of fun with this film. There was a few issues, like there was a couple characters I didn't really care for. Zaz, I don't know, just I don't know what it was. I was getting some like weird vibes from him, and I don't know. It's at least not what I was. At first I didn't know he was in this film.
Yeah.
So then when I figured out it was him because he had like all the scars and everything, I don't know. He was just
He
he was a little weird, but I mean it worked for some
pretty
people, so
one-note
that's good. And then like the female cop character, I didn't really care for her. I feel like I'm just not a
Yeah.
big fan of.
She was a pretty
like,
generic kind of character.
yeah, like the only thing I've seen her in other than this was probably Pineapple Express, and I
Yeah.
didn't really care for her in that either. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a big fan of her. But all the other characters I really liked. Huntress, I thought she was hilarious. what's that actress's name again?
Mary Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's great. And then Black Canary, I thought she was lots of fun too. And then obviously Margot Robbie, Black Mask, Ewan McGregor. I thought he was just amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't expecting him to be just like wild and eccentric like he was, but I really liked it. Yeah, and then overall the story, I thought it was good enough. It's nothing to like I don't know, just like cry about or just like praise over the moon. But
Very simple story.
yeah, but I don't know. It worked in that sense. Like I'd say like the first Deadpool movie, like it didn't have a crazy
No,
like
it's just a guy trying to get his girlfriend back.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But like it still worked really well. The humor was really good. There's some really good scenes I liked. I thought the music was pretty good too. But I gotta say, like what stood out for me was the fighting like choreography.
Mm-hmm.
It just I don't know what it was, but every action scene I was just so hyped and like it was so over the top. Like they're doing like double backflips and stuff, but it's like it's a comic book movie, right? So it's like they're getting that comic book action like on a big screen, and I thought they did a really good job with it, and I was really happy. Like even like a buddy of mine that I went with, he'd never heard of this film like going into it, and he was like, man, that was like really good. Like I was surprised, and we had a lot of fun with it. So definitely go see it in theaters. Definitely support it. Because I don't know, I want to see more Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She's so good casted as her.
The team that did John Wick is the team that did the action on this movie.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah,
I have not seen those films, but I've seen a few
Yeah.
like action set pieces, and
They use that R rating to the fullest.
Yeah.
This one.
no, for sure.
Taylor Field.
I just did the John Wick trilogy actually.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
on Amazon Prime.
How's the action?
Yeah, the action is like absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
that-
so stoked
That's
for
why
the
those movies
fourth
are
one.
so successful.
Yeah.
This is the action. The
Mhm.
story,
Totally.
same thing, is very basic. Guy's dog gets killed. He kills everyone who kills his dog. It's very, very
So
simple.
good.
Keanu, let's go.
So that kind of action style implemented into this movie, like that was I'm with you, Kirkland. It's just that was a huge point for me. There was one, like all the fighting scenes I really liked, but there was one in particular, and I just absolutely thought it was just fantastic. It's probably so far it's like my favorite like fighting scene of the year so far for like
Yeah.
Golden
Wow.
Geeks like number one scene. Kind
A lot of
of
competition there
yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah.
Underwater, there's some fucking crocodiles. and
Underwater.
shit.
Forgot about that one.
Just wait for Brahms 2 or whatever. It's gonna
Oh,
take.
that'll take it.
That's gonna take the boat.
Same fighting choreography.
The little doll is.
But yeah, so overall, this movie it was a pleasant surprise. Like I wasn't sure like what to expect going in. I didn't get like the Deadpool kind of vibe that you guys like got. I just kind of
During
felt
the
like,
movie?
yeah, I
Really?
guess during. I just felt like to me it felt like it was its own thing kind of, and it was just kind of. I mean, I like Harley Quinn's kind of like that like brief like the narration kind of thing that she does. But as the story like progresses, like I don't want to spoil that, but. As the story progresses, like and the characters kind of become more developed, I like how their progressions went. Like Zaz was like a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting him to pop up in there. And then Black Mask, I don't have like a lot of experience with this character. I don't know what he's supposed to be like, but I always felt like, he's that, at least from the games, it looked like he was a character who's like wearing like that clean suit and was very like very clean and very like calm and collected, but evil.
Yeah, he's very stern
sadism.
and serious. Yeah,
Sadism,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you played Arkham Origins, right? Is that what
Just
you're
a bit,
referring to?
yeah.
Yeah.
So this, I felt like it was definitely different, but I
yeah.
liked it. I liked how he still felt like he was like clean kind of like guy, but he was still like insane off his hook. But I really enjoyed because I thought
not off the hook, off his hook. I like that. He's off his hook.
Not the chain. The hook.
So I like to me when I was like watching him, I was like, wow, this guy like. I feel like he's like, as I said in the group chat, like an Obi-Wan looking Nicolas Cage, just going like completely coked out, But and I thought that was just my own impression. And I was reading the comments section later that night, and then all these people were talking like, yeah, he was just like another version of Nicolas Cage. I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one that sees this, so I feel good
Except
about
that's
that.
Nicolas Cage in like real life. It's not even
Yeah. Yeah, but I would say definitely everyone go see this movie. It's really, really funny. Margot Robbie was just fantastic in it. I really like Black Canary, and yeah, all the characters I think were just awesome. I like how it's it has a lot of nods back to Suicide Squad, which I like. I like how it
surprisingly
just
more than I
enough.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just enough.
Captain
Like
Boomerang.
it does that thing where like the sequel Star Wars trilogy accepts and like has little comments about how the prequel trilogy is there. So I like when movies do callbacks to things that people necessarily don't like, but it's done in a proper, healthy way.
Right, they're not like scrubbing the slate clean.
Yeah, no,
no,
they're
but
owning
they're-
it, yeah,
but
yeah.
they still don't want
acknowledging
you to
it.
go back and watch the
Yeah.
movie.
You
You know?
don't see
No.
Joker's face.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
But in the terms of like with DC doing like sequels and stuff, I feel like maybe direct sequels are a little tricky for them, like what you were saying. I like the idea of them doing like spin-off movies in the universe, because you have like the Suicide Squad, and then now you have like a spin-off story anthology film of Harley Quinn and her journey, and then
she's back in Suicide Squad
she's-
next year.
yeah, so I like that kind of trajectory.
Nice.
Yeah.
The slipstream.
I'm excited to see, because I can't remember when. I think it was Shazam. Walter Hamada is like the new, and then there's a female, I forgot her name. They're like the new runners of DC. So like they approved that, and Joker and Birds and stuff. So I still do want sequels and everything like that, just because I'm just built that way. I want to see continuations of the story, but I'm hoping that with the new leadership, they kind of have like a better eye on what
More
to do.
prequels.
Not necessarily. I don't know. Where
Batman prequel.
Oh, yeah, we'll find out about that one day. But yeah, so this movie, if you've been listening to the cast for a while, I've been very excited. I've been excited. Similar to Joker, when they dropped that like minute just costume test, it was the vibe, the way they shot, the music, and I was like, oh man, we're going to get something really good here. And it didn't disappoint me. Next to Tenet, this was my most anticipated film of the year. Margot Robbie is she's just a treasure. She's just a gem in more ways than one. But even then, I feel like, because we just watched Suicide Squad, I feel like you can see from the 4 years just how much of even a better actress she is. I think, one, it helps that the writing for that character is better overall. But just as an actress, she has a lot to do in this movie, more so than Squad. And she just kills it. She's so good. And it's just incredible to watch like the evolution of this actress. So I'm very excited to see her, even in Suicide Squad next year, see like what's new there. But she is just one of the best talents going right now. And that's the biggest thing I think for me is it is kind of like Deadpool as far as the fourth wall breaking, some comedy. But the biggest thing about Deadpool, and I think why that was a massive hit, and hopefully Birds kind of becomes a cult hit, is because like Deadpool had all this humor, but at the core it was a romance film. It was about these two people in love, and I think that's why a lot of women liked it. And as far as like it came out at the same time, February, and this is the reverse, where that is a romantic movie. This is like a full-on breakup movie, and I think this really served Harley Quinn well as far as really delivering on the character as far as moving forward, but also what's happening what's happened in the past. I think they gave a lot of layers, where Suicide Squad was really, I always thought the performance was great, but you can go back to our original review, there was lots of missing of like, is she crazy, is she bad, is she lucid, we don't really know. And they really did a good job of narrowing down that character even more. So matching her performance with the writing was fantastic. And I think that was the biggest thing. It was like the story is very basic. It's a very kind of, point A to point B, we got to get this thing. But I always say, as you know, I like character stuff over the story, so that's why for me, I'm fine with that. I'm also fine. I've always said I don't want movies where the world has to end, so it's another one where it's not that. It's just these characters dealing with one issue, so I like that. But it was the emotional journey of some of the characters, but mostly just Harley Quinn as far as like growing. I'll get more into that in spoilers, but it was really well done that way. Ewan McGregor was great. I'll wait till spoilers to get into it. It's a performance that I absolutely love, but I'm disappointed with at the same time, because I'm always fine with adaptions, but I want them after we get the OG character. And I feel that it's tough because I love the adaptation of Black Mass, but there's a lot missing there. So I understand fans being mad about it, but I think it's the difference. Like Jared Leto gave like a bad performance, so that's why it's like, oh, I don't like this adaptation, there's nothing good here. Where this adaptation's something different, but at least Ewan's great. The style is so good, the music's so good. Just everything about it is just, it feels very fresh. I feel like it's the closest we're ever going to get. That's why Kill Bill's on the table. I think it's the closest we're going to ever get to like a Tarantino comic book type of movie. The way the storytelling is told, especially, it's very Jackie Brownish at times. The way they refer back to stuff, the way they layer in things. The other ones I compare it to is like Seven Psychopaths and Smoking Aces. It just has, the biggest thing I'll say is it has a clear vision of what it wants to be, and that's what's great. We talk about that as like, always on Marvel, we always do, oh, if DC could do this. It's kind of the reverse, where sometimes feel like Marvel and MCU, it feels like sometimes it is just too much of the same. And that's what I love about this. If you look at Shazam, Joker, this, and Wonder Woman, they are just whatever the director, the writing team, they have a vision. Kathy Yan, I haven't seen any of her movies, but she did a great job. The writer, I gotta look at her name, but she did Bumblebee. She's doing Flash and Batgirl. She is just a talent that I'm gonna follow all the time because I just love everything she's done between now Bumblebee and this. But they had a vision, and DC let them go with it. Whether it's the very woman-centric kind of female gaze, whether it's the rated R-ness, just everything. It didn't feel like other movies where they pulled back on that. And I just think they had a lot of cojones to do this, and they did it. And I hope everyone goes and supports it because it's kind of similar to Spider-Verse where maybe it doesn't have this broad appeal, but this to me feels like it's comic book panels coming off the page, and I loved almost every minute of it. I think we get a lot of characters. I think there's a lot left to be desired for some. I think I did like Huntress's performance, but I felt like the amount she's in it, I was kind of a little, not let down, just I couldn't glom on to that character as much. Mm-hmm. I think there's some very kind of, I think some story beats that are very kind of like hand wavy as far as just like, oh, this is happening now, and you kind of go with it. And there's some, and that's the thing too. It's kind of like referring back to Kill Bill. You can go back to our Nolan retro. That's coming up. Our Tarantino retro. Kill Bill at times like it's very serious, but it's also a really weird movie. And we talk about that for myself. It's like sometimes some weirdness doesn't necessarily works. And there's some scenes in here where, I don't want them to take it out. They just go balls well. And there's some scenes in particular where they slice in maybe something that's a little weird that maybe doesn't work 100% for me. It's like, I don't know if this need to be placed right here the way it is, but they go for it. And that's why I put Kill Bill on the table, because that reminded me a lot of Kill Bill. Well, Kill Bill is like really serious. It's a girl who got, almost murdered. She's after her child, but then it's just like really wacky and kooky, and that's what this is. So yeah, I loved it. This is not in my top 10, but it's probably top 15. It's close up there. It's a movie that I'm going to rewatch quite a bit. I have kids now, so I might have to wait till nighttime to watch this movie. But yeah, so anything else we want to say before we get into spoilers?
Nah.
Let's
do it.
Oh, Taylor's putting the keys on the table.
Taylor's emptying the pockets.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Somebody say.
Geek first assemble.
Boom. So we're getting into the spoilers. Where do we want to start with first in this?
I wanted to comment. Mm-hmm. Did I take your thunder there?
Nah, go ahead.
With our new table arrangement, right? I can't see.
I know. We need mirrors so we can just see
I look
whatever
towards
angle.
The fans or I look at Kirklin. I can't do both. I just wanted to comment on kind of the last point you were making there, of like the storytelling of this and how it is like a simple story. But I think the storytelling in this movie is great, right? Because you start out with like Harley Quinn's kind of narrating, telling you, kind of catching you up from Suicide Squad. And then for the first like hour to 45 minutes of the movie, which is essentially half the movie, right? Because it's kind of short, is like just this back and forth where you're going back a few days, you go forward a couple days, you see
4
a scene
minutes.
that takes place, somewhere else, and then it like kind of connects it. And I think that was perfect, right? Because as the narrator, it's not an unreliable narrator, but it's like she's a chaotic hot mess of a narrator, and it fits the story so well, right? The fact that it's being told out of order and you're missing some things don't really make sense, but then it kind of all comes together eventually before it like continues on with what is a really, really simple story. It's just a diamond in Gotham and everyone wants it pretty much, right? But yeah, I thought that was really clever way to like even give more story to Harley Quinn, right? Because it like the perspective of her narrating all this is from like the present. So the fact that that's still like she does go through some change and development throughout this movie, but she still is like this very chaotic, wild character. So.
Yeah. On that note, her narrations too, they played it off as if it was the voices in her head, because as her narrations are going off, there's times when the narration stops and then she finishes the narration real life, and then people are like looking at her, which I kind of like.
I think that's I don't know, that I feel like that was more fourth wall stuff than than what you're saying.
I only felt like, well, I guess there was only the one instance where I felt like that, when she was getting her breakfast sandwich and she like
fucking love that.
That was so good.
So
that was my
much.
favorite scene of the entire movie.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, if you like any of that, go read the Harley Quinn New 52 stuff, because that's where everyone did start shipping her and Deadpool together. But like, it is very much like she focuses on this one thing. I love that they made it like the music they picked it like
the
like,
sexy
they
music.
made it very sexy and like the sizzling. It was just like, it was such like a. That's why I think that's why it reminds me a lot of like Tarantino, where it's like I could see someone watching it and just be like, this scene's dumb and stupid, but it's like I don't want them to cut out this 3-minute sandwich scene mean? Like that's what gives it
made me hungry.
It was
like,
amazing.
ooh.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I wanted a nice breakfast sandwich the next morning.
Yeah,
and
that's
like
what gives it some character and life. You know,
and
something different.
Totally. And like the importance of that sandwich and how it's literally like the holy grail in that moment. And then like when she eventually like drops it or whatever, or gets it knocked out of her hands.
Well,
Just I
I
love
remember
that
seeing
scene.
the trailer because they show that shot of her just like bawling, and I was like, I wonder what she loses in this movie. Like, because like it seemed like, oh, she's on her own. So in the movie, I was like, oh, maybe they kill off Bruce or something like that. But no, when it was revealed that it's a sandwich, it's just so good because it did play to this like Dylan about chaotic nature, but just like she's crazy, but she is just kind of so mundane at times too. Like she just wants like the simple things in life, and that's where I like at the end they call back to they got the sandwiches, and that fits with this character who's on her own.
There's
now.
literally a scene where she's like, I gotta go get some groceries.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't really see that in this genre very often. Right. Like the basics of just everyday stuff for normal people, they don't really do.
And it makes her relatable, and that's what I think grounds it. And there's other things that made her relatable for me, but I think that's the biggest thing that Harley Quinn on film now is becoming one of my favorite characters because it's hard to relate to like a Tony Stark or like a Thor, right? Like we love those characters,
I'm
but
poor,
like,
so I can't relate with them.
but that's the thing. Like we all relate to the grocery shop. We all relate to like that sandwich we all love, and that's what I love. Or like the even little touches of like the number 32 with chili. I love the line when Huntress does come in, just like 32 mild. It's just like it's just so strange. But that's what I love. Like these little just touchstones to show that even if just referring back to like she was a normal person at once too, right? And I loved everything they did with her, and I think they did a great job. I'm curious to see what they do in Squad because it's not her story, so I feel we're gonna lose a lot of that. But it is James Gunn, so I have some faith there that we might retain some fun daily activities with her.
Yeah, I wonder because that movie's already
filming right now.
It's filming right now. So do you think he got like an early screen of this? Like, does he know the story that happens in Birds of Prey?
I would hope, but I also think because he said she is a main character, I would think as her a producer, she could be like, hey, we're doing this. It's the same way that apparently like in when they were doing Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, while they're filming that, Chris Hemsworth was like, they hadn't seen Ragnarok, but he's like, we've taken it like in this really different direction. And that's where they're like, oh, okay, we can make you like, I think that's where like Fat Thor kind of came from. Like, oh, you can do this. Because if you look at Infinity War, he's like really serious still. So I think as a producer, she would be like, oh, this is the type of tone we went with. And I think they could. I think James Gunn would get, but he might even seen some stuff too, some dailies or something.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
That'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, but yeah, what I want to talk about too is like the thing that I loved was the breakup stuff because one, I just first of all they do Jared Leto so dirty, which I love. It's just like you don't even the scene from Squad, they don't even show his face, you know. Like even like I loved the beginning of this movie though, that little comic book like cartoon animation of showing her story. That was such like a touch. And right then I knew this movie had so much character, but I was just worried it was gonna lose it at some point. I was like, oh, it's just gonna be the beginning, but I loved everything they did with the breakup stuff. I loved everything when she's on her own with the rollerblading. I loved all the friends that were like talking bad about her and everything like that. And yeah, that just like, again, another relatable thing. I think, well, unless you're lucky, I think everyone's been through like a breakup or something like that. And that's what I love. And this is what I was talking about Taylor in the group chat. Like that moment when she's like, she breaks up and then she cuts her hair and then right away she regrets it. I've been in that exact same position where that whole story she tells like, oh, all these people and you meet somebody and they're great. And then they just leave you, abandon you. And same thing, like one time I grew my hair out for a girl and then to like, as a sign of like rebellion after the breakup, I shaved it bald and I regret it immediately the next day. And I remember legitimately crying because I was like, my hair, I really liked it. And just all this stuff. And like I've had personal things after high school too of like the friend group dynamic of like you can annoy certain people and I have like a vexing attitude sometimes. So like that honestly like really deeply hit home with me. And that's why I didn't have a hyena or cheese, but like her story, like I'm starting to, it's just like as I was watching it, like the club life, and that's why I'm excited for Kyle to watch it. It's just like that spiraling out of control. Like you're just an asshole and you're just pissy and everyone hates you. And like that to me is why it's like the superhero breakup movie now. I feel like if you like superhero movies and you want like that breakup genre, this is the first one to do that. And that's what I love. And I love that they didn't make it about Joker. They didn't make it like she talked to him about him a little bit, but it wasn't about getting over him. It was about who am I going to be without him? That's what I loved. And maybe if Jared Leto was around, maybe that would have been different. But I feel like they made a choice that don't make it about like the man and the relationship, make it about like you after the relationship. And that's what I liked. So yeah, that stuff really hit home for me, and I really appreciate that. And that's why I already loved Harley Quinn from the 90s, but this like put on their love for
Yeah.
me on the film. So
Yeah, they definitely made a good choice by putting Joaquin Phoenix in the shoes of Joker and making that movie,
yeah,
and then just fucking vetoing Jared Leto's for this.
yeah.
It's kind of funny if you think about it that way, that they like split those two characters up and kind of
yeah.
made their own solo movies. You would think like originally, like, man, it's kind of weird to have Joker as a solo movie, and it's like it's even weird to have Harley Quinn as a solo movie, like on paper 5 years ago, if you say that, right?
And this, it's weird, but like Joker, it feels like it's came out a lifetime ago. Only came out October. There's like 6 months between these two movies, and it's just such the dichotomy of like difference of like what DC is doing, which is a good thing. But
yeah.
No,
this is definitely a different movie.
Oh,
than the
yeah.
Joker.
Go see Morbius.
I was just gonna say, like, every time that they were like about to show the Joker or something, just in the back of my mind, I'm like, I wonder if they're actually gonna show Jared Leto's face. But especially like even that scene when she was in like the vat of like acid or whatever it was, and then it was just like totally cut
Neck
off.
down,
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh no, they're definitely not gonna show him now.
Well, and even like the animation, it's like it's nice and prim and proper Joker with the suit and no tattoos, everything like that. But I did actually like that cut of Happy when they go to him, and it was like a Jared Leto Joker from behind, and they are tattooing.
Yeah.
So I thought like even like take out the meme of Jared Leto's Joker. I think they even like just still referred back to him enough times. They didn't completely ignore him,
Yeah.
but they still were like, oh, that's not the, even if not like I said Jared Leto, they're just like that's not the story we're telling right now. I do think that like I don't know what. I feel like if there was a third in this, like a Squad Birds, I feel like you would need Jared Leto's Joker to be a villain. I think that's kind of set up, but I think that's a route that we'll never get. So I'll talk about that with Black Mass, is why I think they should have kept him alive. But I think they could have, if things in a different world worked out, you could have had a good showdown. But I think that's off the table.
Well, maybe we'll go into that because I want to hear about these Black Mask takes because I love the character. He was like probably one of my favorite. I'm thinking like DC villains. Probably my favorite DC villain, honestly, that we've seen, or at least that we've seen in these movies, like this universe. And I think the reason for that is that he is just so over the top. Like anytime he just started screaming at like the most mundane thing, I was just dying laughing. I thought his cadence was hilarious. I thought the way he wouldn't even like, because he had like this guy who would like skin the people for him, and he would just be like grossed out at it, like just like that. Yeah, that flamboyant nature of him too. Like he was such a fun character on screen, but at the same time, I do think he was very one note. And like, I don't know the comic book background.
Yeah.
I have no idea what he looks like in the comics. I don't have that perspective. But like, with what they showed here, I don't really know how you go forward with that. Like, he didn't really have any sort of deeper character to him. So why do you really want him back? Why do you need Black Mask instead of one other DC villain? Because there's a long list of great DC villains.
I think one, obviously, when you bring a black villain, you got like the history built in already from another movie. So that's one. And two is just because I feel they kind of hinted at a few times. There's 2 times. One, the scene that I absolutely love is a scene where he makes that girl dance and makes that guy take her dress off. Holy fuck, is that is like Black Mask in the comics is like that all the time. It's like take away the flamboyant,
sleazy and creepy.
Yeah, take away the flamboyant stuff. He's like sadistic. He's very calm. He's very much like Anton Chigurh from No Country Old Man, where he's just like at any moment he could snap. The stuff that is new is him doing very this and you snot bubble jokey. He's not a jokey villain. For me, it's just like there's that scene, and there's also the scene the first time he found out about the diamond being missing. He like loses it, but then he takes a deep breath and then he turns around. He's smiling. He's really happy.
Yeah.
I think you could have got more into seeing him fall down that route of just being uber sadistic. And I also think that there's things as far as him taking over Gotham with the False Face Society. There's rumors that they might do the Gotham City Sirens, which is Harley, Poison Ivy, and Catwoman. He has a tie-in to Catwoman. So I think there's a lot of stuff on the table they could have had. And plus, too, I think killing him is warranted because he's just such a terrible character. It makes sense. But I also think you could have had that grenade blow up in his face, disfigure him so he wears that mask all the time and write him off, or even just imply that he's dead, but never fully go there. I would have liked it there a blow up and they're being in the water and like, oh yeah, he's probably dead, but you don't know. So for me, it's just because also I like that character. So it's the same thing as like Loki, where it's like Loki in Thor 1 is great, but he's gone, other than maybe Ragnarok, got like better and better as he stuck around. So I just in general like them keeping villains alive just because you never know, right? You could bring them back, you could, and I will also mention, because the reshoots, I liked the mask, but I hated the mask in the action scenes because it was CGI, and you could tell that they CGI'd on his face, and I was really, really mad about that because originally, if you don't know, they had a mask that was just like a Zorro mask, and everyone hated it. So in the scenes in the car and stuff, they reshot those. Those are practical, but the scenes in the streets, they were all CGI, and I hated it.
See, I didn't notice that actually.
Yeah, I
hated
didn't
it.
notice
I
that.
couldn't
Because it was
stand
it was really dark. At those times.
Yeah, they tried.
Well,
yeah.
that was actually something I was going to mention too. Like this movie, as we said earlier, is very, very action heavy. Like there's tons and tons of action scenes, very over the top, and they're like some of them are quite long scenes as well. And that's another reason why I think Black Mask might be tricky to do again, because think about his role in like any of the action scenes in this movie. Like, well, he's in the car, it's driving away. And then that's pretty much it. Like, he doesn't fight at all in this movie.
Yeah, like all he does is really like shoot the cop.
Yes, that's why I feel like it's hard to level that up. Like, yes, you could give him a power or make him stronger or whatever it is, but I just feel like you're never going to have that from the character we saw here. You're never going to have some like physical threat who's going to be able to take on the Birds of Prey, the Gotham City Sirens, any of that stuff. So I feel like that's a limiting factor as well, where he can only go so far. Like, yeah, you can always change stuff, but
Yeah.
I
just think it's more that if you even pair him with I don't even think you got to do Black Mass, let's say Birds of Prey 2 with him again. You could do him pairing with another villain to work together as far as him kind of in the background and get that performance again. It's also because, like, yeah, that's the thing. I am disappointed because I wanted to see the, like, Anton Chigurh Black Mass, but, like, I love this version of Black Mass, and it's great. It's just one of those, like, I'd like to see more and see what Ewan could do of it, because I agree with you, in the DCEU, their villains are very lackluster. Joker, Steppenwolf. I hate Lex Luthor. So, like, we haven't really had many villains to me that to write home about, so it sucks to lose one that I actually enjoy. So, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, he's dead, and we'll get someone else.
That's totally fair.
Yeah. I was gonna just say, like, add on to what you were saying, how he was definitely like eccentric and flamboyant at times, but like there's these little like hints towards him just
cracks.
But cracks. That's a good word. Definitely like being more of a sadist, and like when he's making like that lady like dance on the table, or when I think he's getting like acupuncture, and then he finds out that he's got like the diamond, and he just goes like full tilt. And I was just totally expecting him to like slowly make like a more of a transition into the later half, then the later half just fully be like that. I guess you could make the argument like when he gets the mask, he's kind of like that, but I feel like you don't really get too many scenes of him.
No, he's gone.
Afterwards.
That was a disappointment in the finale. I liked the standoff with him and Harley Quinn, but he is just in the car a lot. But I think you even could have had him reacting a bit more and stuff like that. Like, just not, I know he has the mask, but just even around more. And even then, which was a strange choice, they like, when him and Harley Quinn are talking, he has like a bunch of cuts and stuff on his face. So I was like, oh, they're going to do the thing where in the comics he gets disfigured and he wears the mask all the time. So it's like they did that, but then they were like, that's why I wonder in the original script if he did actually die, to be honest, because why would you disfigure his face right before he's about to die? Because that's a full-on like cock tease of like, oh, he's going to wear this mask all the time because he's so vain. But then maybe they're like, God,
you see the intestines. I don't think he's living from that.
No.
After that explosion.
I was dying laughing at that grenade explosion. That was so
It was very
good.
abrupt.
I loved it. It was just so over the top. Me and Briggs were just dead in the theater.
Body parts everywhere and stuff like that. And I like the setup, like, oh, I stole your ring and everything. And I will say all his like, and that's where the Harley Quinn emotionals me. All the stuff that he was wearing, that's the attire I want to have in my life. I loved every single thing.
He's got like
he
a
had.
deep Unique with like his blazer.
Oh yeah. His gloves too. I loved them, but
he's great.
Yeah, Taylor, what do you feel about Roman Sionis making his debut here?
Yeah, no, I thought he was awesome. I loved his relationship with Zaz. How Zaz was like, I have to be there for him, you know, and
they're definitely gay together.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I wish they had them kiss once, because I know it's all implied, but like, you know, just go there.
But yeah, no, he was a very interesting character. Like, I wasn't sure what to expect from Black Mask. But that being said, like, I love McGregor's performance as him, and I hate that he died. It sucks. I wish that he survived, but I don't know. Like, his lines were like really, really funny, and like there was like moments where like I was laughing, but it was just that time where you feel like, God, I feel like kind of bad for laughing or like cringing, kind of, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
And like they really like set it in stone at the point, like, and reaffirm that, okay, this guy, you know, you're laughing at him, but, you know, take him seriously because he is an evil dude. And that's when he makes like the girl stand up on the table and has to like make this guy like cut off her dress, and it's just like, wow,
super
this is
awkward
like,
theater experience.
But other than that, like he was funny, like always having like a driver, and just when Harley Quinn like breaks the guy's legs, and he's like, what did he say? Like, oh, yeah, he probably like pissed you off, or he was very comforting to Harley Quinn.
I loved that dynamic they set up of like, because she's Joker's girlfriend, nobody will touch her. I love that. I wish they maybe gave a little more backstory of her and Black Mask and their issues, because I wouldn't buy that. I know Black Mask is like Roman's all over the map, but I wish there was something else other than just like, I know they gave this laundry list, but lots of it was funny stuff and like breaking the driver's legs. I wish there was maybe like one big thing too where he's like, I really want to kill us. I just didn't buy that right away because the driver's knees were breaking when the breakup happens. He's like, we gotta get her right. Like that's the most important thing to him. I thought that was like maybe the next time you see her, kill her, but I didn't think he needed to do like a manhunt for her.
I want to freeze frame every single like issue.
Grievance.
I know there was like Bernie Sanders was
that was
voted
hilarious.
for Bernie.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
There's probably some good ones. But yeah, I think my question is, what is like his dynamic and relationship with the Joker then in this sense? Because like if the Joker,
like in this canon,
well, in this canon, yeah, because if he's trying to like run Gotham, like why should he care about the Joker?
Well,
he's the clown prince of crime.
Yeah, because the way they set up in Squad, which that's what they're doing. One, I would just love to see a scene of Jared Leto and Ewan McGregor and some like flash, like even Ewan McGregor with Ben Affleck's Batman is just like a weird thing to picture. Like he's so serious, and like I think the idea is Joker is the main gangster mobster, so you don't want to mess with Joker because like look what happened to Common in Suicide Squad, right? All he says is, "Oh, your girl's really hot," and then he's
got
like,
no beef.
Got no beef. So like I think it's that thing of like you don't. He's the guy that you can't really do business. Like what was the Asian mobster guy? I can't remember, the Golden Lions. When he's talking about that, I don't think he can have that conversation with Joker. I don't think he can work with the Joker. So I think that's the idea of, hey, we'll just be apart and not mess with each other's stuff. So that's why don't touch his girl. Don't even whatever. She has free range of the club. And I guess technically Jared Leto's Joker is still out there running around in Gotham doing something. I wish that it was weird because when in the plot synopsis for this movie they said that Batman was missing. I wish they dropped that line in this movie to explain stuff going on, because one, I think that sets up for if you ever do want to do anything with Batman, it's like, oh, you set up something fun for where he was, and two, it was like, yeah, where the fuck is he? Because these are all Batman villains.
But if you say something, then you're like, I don't know, you're almost tied down in a way. Like if you say something too committal.
Yeah.
Maybe. I thought they were going to go down that route when Montoya was talking to Huntress of like, oh, like people need you and stuff like that. I thought they were going to go the route like, yeah, no one's here in Gotham anymore and it's a shit show. So, and then they go to Amusement Mile, which is like that place to the end, obviously. That's like a really big Batman Joker, like DC place. So
yeah,
it was still like, for me, it's like, I love they're doing the standalone thing, but it still feels like there's a hole, especially Cassandra Cain, the little girl, she becomes Batwoman. So it's like, it's very heavily tied. All the stuff is Batman. So it always just feels like there's like, some like there's a little bit of hole. Not that it brought down this movie, but I did hope that, and even then the end credits thing with like the Batman secret thing. So I think DC's like always still hoping like.
What was I didn't stay. So what was it?
Batman. That's all it was.
Oh
yeah. So
she makes a little joke. You don't see her. It's just like
a
voiceover.
Yeah,
like a second long.
So I still like maybe because there's rumors Flashpoint. I think maybe there's a chance we still get Margot Robbie and Pattinson on screen one day. I'm kind of got my fingers crossed. So you like Zaz there? Because I'm gonna obviously throw to Kirklin.
I like Zaz. I mean, he was.
Yeah.
I didn't have I don't know much from him except I remember him in the Arkham games, and I remember him in the courtroom in Batman Begins and breaking out of Arkham at the end. And I don't know, he's always an interesting kind of character who was like always cutting himself and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I really like Zaz. I'm not gonna. I was joking in our group chat when I said Kurt was wrong. I'm not gonna defend him because I think I could see why you might not like it. But I like that it's just like you could have easily made that some goon. But I like that they went into Batman can be like, let's make this at least a character. And I like the backstory they give. And I like that the same thing as Roman. It was this like you never know they could snap at any second. That's why I like very kind of like Heath Ledger Joker when you laugh on like. It's uncomfortable, but you don't know. Like second, he's kind of happy and can be talking to you, and then he's asks you to pull over. But I can see why you might not like Mr. Zaz.
I feel like the same the reason you like it is that he could have just been a goon, but to me that was like the only reason that character exists was so they have someone who was not just a goon. and that was it.
Yeah,
Like,
but that's what I like because why? Like just because Mr. Zsasz is never gonna be a main Batman
No.
villain or anything
Yeah.
like that. That's what I like.
I feel like he had a lot of screen time though.
Yeah, and that's what I really
So-
liked. I liked their dynamic. I liked the relationship. I just love that he needs me. Like he's like obsessed with Roman. So I
Yeah.
liked all that stuff. He was a weird guy.
That
It's
one,
very weird.
That one scene though, that I mean, I didn't mind like Zaz, but the one scene that kind of bothered me a little bit was just when he's driving with Black Canary and Black Canary's phone is just blatantly out in the open. Like,
Yeah, that was-
meet you at the spot or
Yeah.
I'll meet you there. It's like, well, you really fucked that up, didn't you?
There was a few times. There's the same thing in Amusement Mile when they beat up everybody in the funhouse, and then they're all walking out like, "Oh, we did it!" Like no idea, like thinking like there might be more guys outside, and they start getting shot at, and Montoya gets shot. So there's a few times where I was like, "Okay, this is very like." So I like the basic plot, but I was like, you could have like found a better way to figure this out, right? Other than Black Canary's gonna just leave her phone right by Mr. Zsasz.
Oh yeah.
All right,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Zsasz, Kirkland.
Yeah, so Mr. Zsasz, I don't know too much about this character, but I feel like in my mind, I don't know, I didn't, like, I saw him more serious and not so much, like, playful and, like, I don't know, like playing with his victims, more of just, like, he's just fucked in the head and he'll just kill you. But, like, to your point, I do like whenever there's that goon character or, like, a number one goon, it is, like, a comic book character, so that like if you actually
Like Tombstone and Spider-Verse.
yeah, that's
exactly
there. That was exactly what I was gonna give an example for.
Yeah.
So like in that sense, I do like when they do that because then it just exposes someone that might not be too familiar with the comic book characters. That's just like, oh, I wonder who this character is, and they could Google it and be like, oh, he's actually like a villain in that comic book. So I do like when they do that, but I don't know, maybe just in my mind, it was just not what I was expecting. I did like his dynamic with Roman. I thought that was fun. It was playful and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like I also didn't really like his look that much. For some reason, my mind, I just see like Zaz with like facial scars and like I don't know.
He does rock the bleach blonde sometimes in comics.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. It
yeah.
is like I do think though, like your grades are like when you're talking to about why people have a problem with Black Mass. It's very similar. A lot
Yeah.
of people want Black Mass to be deadly serious, and
Yeah.
because so like the same problems you have. That's kind of how I could relate to that for other people. It's like, oh well, it's not
Yeah.
that version.
And like I said, like I don't know too much about this character, and I'm not like in love with that character, so it's not like I have too
Top
much.
10.
Yeah, I don't have too much invested in it, so like it's not a big thing, but it was just, I don't know. It was. I felt like it could have been done a little bit better, but I mean, obviously there's some people that liked it, so
yeah, Kirkland's MSN name was at Mr. Zaz.
yeah,
Do
that's
you
my
know-
MS.
Do you know his first name?
Victor. Right?
Good
Oh,
job.
yeah,
Yeah.
Let's go.
I
What-
don't know that.
What
I would've
other
failed.
Batman villain has the first name of Victor?
Von Doom.
That's what came to my mind too. What other?
He's
villain?
been in a movie.
A Nolan film?
What? A
A
Batman film.
A Nolan film?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Ooh.
is it
Victor
played by
Freeze?
Arnie?
Victor Freeze.
Yeah.
Mr. Freeze.
We both got it.
It's the same
Let's
thing
go,
as
team.
Victor Von Doom. It's so funny the way like his name is Victor Von Doom and then his name is Victor Freeze. It's like if your name's Victor, your last name is like
like Frederick Freeze.
That would have been cool.
Freddie Freeze. That would have been
Be
better.
his
Um,
cousin, you know.
Did we have anything more to about Roman or Mr. Zaz or anything like that?
I just love that fucking moron line.
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
end on the dock.
I was a little bit worried that we were only gonna get like the Black Mask in like the flashback because when
Mhm.
it like explains who he is, that's when you see the mask, and
Yeah.
then like throughout the movie, he just doesn't like it doesn't even show him having a mask. So I'm like, I
No.
feel like they're just not gonna show it, and then they just did that for fan service. So I did like when he got serious, he actually grabbed the mask, but
yeah.
I liked his little layer as well, like
Yeah.
all those naked drawings on the
yeah.
wall and like all the different statues that he has all these stories for, the shrunken heads that he's talking
Yeah, that
about.
was hilarious.
Now he's on my wall. Ew.
yeah, yeah.
So all that storage.
That
Like,
stuff
oh, have
was
you
really
ever
good.
been?
I really liked when he had just like Harley like on the chair with like and like they're basically gonna kill her, and yet they still have like 10 people with guns like
Mhm.
ready to pull the trigger, almost like antsy to do it.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just looked like so over the top. I don't know. I really liked it.
And he has the popcorn. That's one thing about Harley that I really like. That I feel like in Squad, it was always like, why is she there? This
Mhm.
to me felt like the kind of almost like a Deadpool or even like a Daredevil, where it felt like she is an assassin. She can literally kill
Yeah.
anybody. We're in Squad, it's just she has the bat and she has like some flips, but it just feel like I think that's the action help. But even when she breaks in that police station, it did feel like because she's so out of the box and so kooky, but she's also skilled that she can pull this off, and that's why I like that. in Squad, I couldn't believe her in the chair would be a threat, but her in the chair, I do believe, whether it's her talking or she might do something, she might, whether it's luck, whether it's craziness, whether it's skill, she might pull her way out of this. And there is a reason to be scared because and I like that they set up a few times that she was behind actually some of Joker's crimes and whatnot. So I think they actually made her a threat in this movie. And that's what I think was one of the biggest things. They made her kick ass opposed to just like really hot. And,
another just amazing scene that I loved was like the usage of the luck when she was in the street and there's like 3 or 4 different people coming to kill her basically. And then I don't even know how it happened. She like ends up shooting the driver somehow. And then he like runs.
One of the dudes that's trying to shoot her shoots. The driver.
And then the driver runs over like the dude in the wheelchair. It was just like so like it reminded me of like Domino from Deadpool, right? Just like the luck factor. So I don't know. I just thought that was hilarious and like super unrealistic, but it's a comic book movie. So like for me, it worked really well. As like same sense as like the over the top fighting choreography. It's just like how is she able to do these flips and kick these people while she's like in front of a car, but it's like it's a comic book movie.
Blades.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like I love it. Like it's fun and entertaining.
Yeah,
and that's what it's supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she lights that dude's beard on fire. It's like such a long,
just grabs
such a long sequence. It was so good. I loved it.
When she double breaks the kneecap, when she
my
breaks
God,
it in, and breaks it out. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I was like cringing a few times.
Oh,
there
yeah.
was some like, because I think the one thing I did mention earlier was like the sound effects. I guess you would say are really like visceral in this movie. They really punch you in the ears. So I think they did a great job there.
Those
like
bones crack.
Yeah, whether it's the mixing or just like the sound, like the sound effects themselves, and I think the movie was just kind of loud in general. I think they cranked it up an extra 10-15%. But I think the sound effects really helped to make those moments like even more impactful. So
Yeah, I agree for sure.
One thing I want to mention because I'll completely forget it. When Ewan and Black Canary and Zaz, they're about to like go somewhere, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to drive." The way he's just so nicely rude to people. He's like, I told you to do something. You got to go do it. It's your job, right? Then go do it. Why are you talking to me? Like, I love how just like what a piece of shit he was all the time, but he talks so happily.
Yeah.
It was,
I'm glad you mentioned that because that definitely stood out for me when he's like, do what you're told.
Yeah.
Just do it. Like, what do you do?
And then they actually cut those people's face off. So I was surprised. So right then I knew, okay, we are really rated R. And that
I was like, are they going to show like their face afterwards? Obviously they hid it. He had like the severed face afterwards.
In front of the wife.
Dude, that first scene when they were upside down, I thought the guy that was hung upside down was Ken Watanabe. And I was like, yo, do I get a point for this shit? I was so stoked. And then when he showed up in the scene later, I was like, no, there goes my point.
At first, I thought they were going to, because this was also an Asian family, I thought they were going to tie it into Cassandra Cain. I thought that was going to be her family, but she just
I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah,
she was fostered family, right?
Yeah, she had the terrible foster family, and she just had to swallow the diamond, which, must have hurt a little,
I feel like it would hurt going out.
I think it hurts both ways, because remember she couldn't talk at the police station when Renee tries to talk to her. She's like,
I feel like going down the throat would be the rough part.
Yeah. I don't know. I just picture like the end of the diamond,
But she had a lot of laxatives and everything, so it just would be like.
Yeah, with
Mexican food.
I think both
juice.
suck.
Yeah, exactly.
I think both suck. Let's just leave it at that.
That's a good point, Kirklin. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, I don't want either. I choose nothing.
Yeah.
What do we think about the Birds of Prey? So we had Cassandra Crane, we had Huntress in here, we had Renee Montoya, and then we had Black Canary, or just Canary in this film. So.
Yeah, I'll start with Black Canary. I really liked this character. I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a simple story, but I just thought her fight scenes were badass. Like the first one when she's got those gold pants on, she's just kicking the shit out of those
kicks.
dudes. It was so badass, like kicking them through the car windows and stuff like that.
She had long legs.
She had very long legs.
She looked like
every scene they were a little bit longer.
They grew with each kick.
Yeah, exactly.
That's her second power. Every kick, it's like Pinocchio when you lie and your nose grows.
But then the other thing I liked about her is a couple times they're referred to her as the songbird, and then she does like the songbird thing at the end where she screams. So I was like, this is the closest I'm ever getting to a songbird. Like I want the MCU songbird, but I'll take this. This is not bad. So I really liked the character. I thought she was very badass. Once again, the costumes for everyone were great, but I like the different styles she had.
Next to Harley, hers was my favorite. Always the cool style of the tuxedo. Even the stuff she was just like bedazzling her hair and like awesome, really unique, different look.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I liked too, like it's almost kind of cheesy or corny, like her power at the end, right? Because this movie, yes, we talked about they're doing flips and they're jumping around, they're breaking kneecaps back and forth, and it's like it is unrealistic, but it's still like grounded enough. But then when she whips out this literal superpower, it's like, all right, we're going there. And I liked it. It doesn't maybe it doesn't fit the mold, but like to me this movie was just so over the top and it just fit perfectly.
Yeah.
And then I think it just led into this really like goofy thing where Harley's like ducked
I
down,
loved
picking
it.
up speed.
Yeah.
So I really liked that whole character. I thought she was the one that was most fleshed out. Well, actually, maybe Cassandra Cain. She was in there quite a bit. Huntress is the one who is kind of in it just a bit.
Yeah,
But
it's funny because Huntress's backstory kind of reminded me of the Lucy Liu's character in Kill Bill. I forget her name.
Oh yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that. How like she like her family was just like killed in front of her, and then she's kind of like
Right.
trained to become the perfect assassin or whatever. And
and
then
kill them all.
yeah, and I don't know. It's just I really liked her character. I like how like she's like my name's Huntress, but everyone's just calling her the crossbow killer. It was just and it just like every time it would just like trigger her. I don't know. I really liked her.
Yeah, someone's like, nice bow and arrow. She's like, it's not a bow and arrow. Am I 12? Like, I loved her snarky jokes. I thought she was great. I think I wanted like just a bit more. Like I wanted
I
a couple
agree.
more dialogue scenes between her and Harley or something. Like just get a little bit more like charisma built between the two of them. But for what they had, I thought she was really fun.
That was my problem, that I loved everything. I loved because I wasn't all the trailers. She just looks like a badass. I wasn't expecting her to kind of have like this childish mentality as far as like she's a loose cannon. She gets like angry really easily, and obviously that plays off like she kind of had like a stunted growth, right? She's had a much different life, but it felt like she was already an established character that came in. It's almost like she was like that was Ben Affleck's Batman. It's like, oh, we already know him, so you don't got to give much backstory. But it's like, no, this is her first movie, and they gave her lots of backstory, but like I just needed more scenes of them together, more dialogue, and I really liked her, and I hope we see her again one day. It's just that I wish we got a little bit more
She
for
felt a little one note.
Yeah,
and it's
tacked on, but then I love her when they do the fist bump, and she's like, I'll do that. Yeah, like
I think we were probably just expecting more because of the birds, other than Harley, of course. She's like the most known actress.
Yeah,
100%. Like, I think personally, I thought she would be in it like a bit more, or like, have a more integral role where she doesn't join the crew until like the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, she almost seems like a side villain even at times. I don't know, like
well, because you're not sure when she kills Happy at first if she was shooting for Harley.
Yeah,
or Happy
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So I wasn't too sure on her intentions. I also just don't know like much about her from the comics.
Another Batman character.
Yeah, I gotta say like her look, other than Harley's, was my favorite. She just looks so badass, and just like the slick black outfit, and when she was on like the bike at the end, like with Harley, just remind me of Napoleon Dynamite. It's like, can you pull me into town? I don't know.
I was thinking of Ricky Bobby, the slingshot maneuver.
Yeah, whip me. And she's like, what? I don't know. I was expecting her to just be like, I don't know what that means, but then she's like, oh, okay, yeah. And then just.
Do you think that, like, obviously the movie's Harley Quinn's movie, so you want her to be the main person, but do you think it would have been smart for Huntress just to keep driving and try to keep her with the car, other than to risk the slingshot working?
Yeah, probably.
But I like the rollerblade.
Physics-wise, probably, yeah.
I like the rollerblade sequence. It was great. It's a tie-in too.
Yeah, so. It touches back to her roller derby. Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
I love that scene too, and she's just like going excessive force on those roller derby girls, just like punching that one girl in the face, and then she like comes back later and like whips something out of that window, and then it shows like the grievance again. I really like the usage of that. Again, it just really reminded me of Deadpool, how they're doing that stuff.
And tell me about the birds. You were not a big fan of Renee Montoya, right?
No, I again, it might have just been like I'm not a big fan of that actress, and she just seemed a little bland to me. Like, it's weird, like. So she's a comic book character, but like, what's her power? She's just a cop.
She's just a cop. Yep, just a cop.
I liked her.
Just like Harley, she was created in the Batman animated series, so 2 in 1 movie. Look at that. Yeah.
I liked how she had like the like Harley Quinn corset thing. I thought that was fun.
Good, yeah.
And it was bulletproof.
I love that they set up that it was bulletproof, because it is fun. Like, oh, it is just not just because it's sexy.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's some use to it.
Yeah, I liked her enough. I think they did some lampshading where it's like she is a very generic character, but then the whole movie they're calling her out for being a generic character. So that's like a film trope, and I liked it enough. I think I liked it. I think if I would have had more screen time with her, either I would have liked it more, or maybe I would have liked it less, because maybe I just didn't.
Yeah.
She's the character I'm least interested in. I agree with Dylan that like Canary's my favorite. Canary I would watch. I want more of her story. Huntress I liked enough, but I didn't get enough, so I'm not like so gleamed on. Canary I was like, I really want to see more. I want to see more of that actress. Only thing I've ever seen her in is Grey's Anatomy, so she's relatively new on the scene. And I liked her story that they kind of touched upon with their mom, and I like this idea of like, she has like a little bit of loyalty to Black Mask because he gave her a job when she was homeless. But then, and I love that dynamic when she turns on him that he did, like, he personally was hurt by it. It wasn't just like, so many guys and bad guys in movies are like, oh, you're one of my prized possessions. But when they turn, they don't really care, right? They just say that. But it felt like Roman legitimately did feel like she was like a piece of like property and like little bird. So I liked that dynamic, and I liked everything about them. And Cassandra Cain, just again, child actors are just good nowadays. It's just so nice to see them, and they're not like, I don't think she was like one of the most amazing characters in the world, but I think she had great chemistry with Margot Robbie. I think she had good comedy timing. So it's just nice to watch child actors and them not to be bad and be like, oh man, we're watching this kid. So yeah, it was good. And I, again, the Batman fan of me is like, man, I one day just want her to meet Batman, and like, because like that story's set up to be like, hey, like, you're with Harley Quinn, like, this is so wrong. Like, I gotta adopt you. Like, you gotta come with me. Like, that setup is right there. But obviously, I don't think we're gonna get that anytime soon. So,
like, because you said she eventually becomes Batwoman at a point.
There's like 5
was she like
Batwomans.
Friends with Margot Robbie, like in the comic books?
No, because Harley Quinn. Yeah.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah. Harley Quinn didn't come in the comic books till like the late 90s, 2000s. Okay. So Cassandra Cain's been around for a while. She's the one that they got going on the Batwoman series right now too. So as you can see, Ruby Rose, a lot different than cool. So. There's a lot of history there, but I did like the ending place where she is like a little protege, and I liked all the like, how did you get here? How'd you do this? I like their dynamic.
I think what I liked about her character is, obviously, Travis, you mentioned earlier that Harley Quinn's like very relatable, or at least a lot more relatable than a lot of like comic book characters. But I think it's interesting because like at the start of the movie, a lot of that is just because of her narration. You're hearing her talk about her life. But I think Cassandra Cain's a great like plot device in that sense that she really helps to humanize Harley Quinn a lot, right? Like I mentioned that grocery store scene, but even just them hanging out in the apartment and they're just eating cereal, and she's like looking through her stuff, and she has all this weird shit. Like, I mean, she owns a hyena, but then she also has like this little beaver doll. And, like, what is this guy? Who's this guy on the wall? Like, I think there's a lot of great stuff there that really like that bonding sequence they have, which is probably only like 15 minutes long, 20 minutes long, where it's just them two on their own before like shit goes down. Yeah. I thought it was really fun. I liked that. And like the fact that they're together at the end, separate from the birds, like I'd be down for whatever the next movie is. If it's them, like I'm sure they'll bring I don't know what they'll do for the sequel. I don't want to talk about that. But like if those two are together again, then that's cool to me. Like they have great chemistry together. So.
I like how they broke off from the rest of the crew too. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting them to just be like, oh, we're all happy, walk off in the sunset together. Yeah, but sure. I like how it's still like, no, Margot's like, or I keep calling her that, Harley Quinn. She's
on her own.
She's on her own, right? And then like she has her buddy though that she's taking with her, and then they both just run off with the diamond. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, well,
they ended up pawning it, right?
Yeah, she did. She gave
Did
the
Harley
codes.
Quinn not know? Oh, she gave the codes?
She gave the codes back to Huntress because they say in the narration that's how she's funding like the superhero thing. So she's pretty much just Batman now. She has like billions of dollars, but then she sold the actual diamond and kept that money for herself, Harley Quinn. So that's what she's doing. And and that like what you said, Dylan, like it was only like 10, 15 minutes, but some movies don't do that. They just go, oh, they're bonding now, oh, they're friends now, you know, and that's why I like
100%.
It's a small little sequence in the movie, but again, almost like that sandwich thing. If you cut it out, to me, it hurts it so much. So that's what I really liked. And I'd like to see them again. I'm interested to see what would happen if they do sequels, because I think the Birds of Prey, like without Harley Quinn, would not happen. I think you need that heavy honcho, but they did kind of insinuate that maybe Harley Quinn's gonna become like the new crime boss, because they talk about with Roman gone, who's gonna step up, and she's there like new suit, everything like that. So I think maybe they might do like a fun dynamic of like a Batman versus Superman, where it's like Birds of Prey, you got Harley Quinn maybe in Poison Ivy, and then there's like a bigger threat, and they got to team together again. So, but Taylor, what do you think about the Birds of Prey there?
Yeah, I like them. I didn't know that Cassandra Cain was.
She becomes a Batwoman.
Yeah, I had
Bruce
no
adopts
idea.
her and becomes her cousin.
That's interesting, actually.
Yikes.
Yeah, I had no idea.
It's fine. There's like 15 Robins, Batgirls, Batwoman, Batboys.
Well, I knew there was a couple Robins and a couple Nightwings or whatever, but
there's 4 Robins now.
Jesus.
There's 5.
They come in bulk.
There's
There's
5.
Buy one,
actually
get
now.
one.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I had no idea that Cassandra Cain was one of the Bat members. So that's actually really, really cool. I like those little Easter eggs. So, but yeah, Margot Robbie and what were the other names? I can't remember the name of the cop. I know there's Black Canary and
Renee
Huntress.
Montoya.
Yeah. The cop, I think she was cool. I didn't like hate her. I felt kind of bad for her being in that situation where I cracked this big case and I'm doing it like Brooklyn style cop, and
I'm walking.
Yeah. But she got cheesed out, and the captain was a bit of an ass to her. And then I really liked Huntress. I liked her kind of like origin that they gave her, and then I really enjoyed her humor because I wasn't expecting that. And again, when she's talking to Doc and all that, that was just, I love Doc. Doc is my favorites. And
wow, the guy that sold out Harley Quinn.
oh yeah, that
wow.
that scene is great when she's like, "You sold me out," and he's like, "Well, they paid me. I can make a new restaurant now." Like he's just such a shit.
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't think it was that comedic.
Oh, I loved it. Doc was hilarious. So yeah, but Black Canary, I think she was super cool. I liked how she was kind of like didn't want to help Harley, and then she turned around and just went to town on those guys.
Oh, she was badass.
She was super badass. And I like that she was the mole too on Roman's kind of like operations, because like whenever she would like report to the cop, I felt like, okay, like she's doing it. I hope she doesn't get caught, because it feels like really like close to the wire kind of timing when she's ever reporting. But that being said, who is her mother and the significance behind that? Because they really made a point of emphasizing
She's
that.
another. There's like a bunch of Lances in the Black Canary family, and she is like another Black Canary. So that I'm a little less like on, because that's the Arrow universe, and I've only watched the TV show, and I've read some comics. Oliver Queen, but Hawkeye was always my bone arrow guy. So, but there is, much like Robin, there's a bunch of different canaries, or Black Canaries, or White Canaries. There's all versions of
All sorts of
canaries.
birds.
Yeah.
I think they just did that to have some sort of connection between the cop and Black Canary.
Yeah,
Oh,
and to
yeah.
set up the power from out of nowhere, because the cop being like, your mom had a power. So it's not just completely random when she does scream.
Yeah,
It
I
is
don't know.
random, but it still sets up, like, at the end of the day, Harley Quinn still refers back to Squad being like, oh, I saved the world from, like, this witch, right? So it's like, they're still in this world where there's powers. So it's like, at least one little line and be like, oh, yeah, you kind of have powers. I like that they made her faint after, because I think that means if they do more sequels, they could have that, but it's not always going to be like, how do we solve this problem? Oh, just scream.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I liked, is it wasn't a tool that was used throughout the entirety of the movie. It was just like, okay, this one-time use, and that was it.
And important, too,
Silver
finale.
bullet.
Very
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that worked out really, really well. And I think all the characters were awesome, and I love how their story kind of wrapped up at the end, and they became the birds of prey, and they're just taking out crime.
Their outfits look sick.
Their outfits look
It's
very,
like
very
that shade
sick,
of blue.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I think it's super cool. I do find it a little odd that the cop is kind of like leading the charge with them, because I feel like the other two are way more experienced than her.
I guess she knows like the streets, right? Like she knows
Oh,
she has the
yeah.
connections, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah. But with Harley Quinn, like my favorite like fight scene with her is when she storms into that police station,
It's
and
so
she's just
good.
shooting
So good.
the smoke, and the smoke is like blue and pink, like, and it's bursting behind her, and she's
Slow-mo,
shooting
yeah.
the
Yeah, well,
confetti.
Like that scene was so good too. Just like touching back to how they were like jumping back and forth on like the timeline. It was so good on how it like stopped and like she like kind of winced like mid shot, and then it's like hold up, and then they go back and explain. I don't know. I loved all that
Yeah,
stuff.
it's kind of funny too, because the scene before that, she gets like scooped up by the bad guys.
Yeah, so you're
And
like, how did
immediately
she get here?
Yeah,
Right? Or
exactly.
like you think it's like from the past or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. You just don't know what's going on.
that
That's
scene reminded me of Jackie Brown when you see like the heist thing go down, and then they go back and show you that. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, so we saw Harley Quinn get kidnapped, and now she's doing this, and then it's like, oh, explain how did she get to this point? And that felt very kind of Jackie Brown.
What did
to
you
me.
guys think of the like fight scene with all the cages and the water coming down? Because Briggs was like critiquing that one. He didn't like that part of it.
I didn't mind it, but I
He
honestly
thought the choreography was a little subpar in that one.
I think it is the weakest one. I think that
Yeah.
one you could cut and you don't need. I think it was just because I think at that point they had already established she's badass. I liked the the lockup scene because there's like different ones. I like she gets the bat and things like that. I liked the one previously, so especially too because it was like action scene, action scene, action. It was like 3 in the same set piece back to back. So
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it, but I think you could cut it. I think it was the weakest, and especially too, it's not like a dude bro trying to get Margot Robbie in some water, right? Like she's very close. It's not like some revealing. I could understand. Sorry if it's Zack Snyder up in here being like, oh, now we're gonna put him in water.
Yeah,
and
they don't
like,
really over sexualize
Yeah.
Harley Quinn much in this movie at all.
Yeah, so
No.
maybe it's just
Yeah.
maybe the director was like, hey, I want a fucking water fight scene. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
You do that, you know?
Yeah, because we definitely saw that in Suicide Squad, right? And then it seems
Oh,
like
yeah.
they toned it back a little bit. I wouldn't say you'd cut out that scene because like I didn't think it was that
Yeah.
bad. I like you can make the argument it's probably the weakest.
Yeah, just
I-
against that scene with the gun, it's like
yeah, and then
quite a fall drop
And
off.
plus, and like it is one of these where I did like it, but to have every single criminal be like, yeah, we all fucking hate Harley Quinn, that was a little bit for me. Like, that was sometimes like a little too much,
Yeah.
and even then, like it felt a little at the I liked it more at the beginning, halfway, and then it started to really peer out because I liked the idea of okay, these people find out where Harley lives and they go to attack this place, and I like the idea of like John Wick, she maybe loses Bruce the hyena. I think they could have stayed on that scene a little longer because she's like looking and then they cut and she's talking to Doc. I thought that was edited a little strangely, but the thing is, so they send in like this weird
I feel
bomb.
like it's pretty obvious that Bruce didn't die.
100%. Yeah. So they send in like this whatever bomb, like they like slingshot in, but then those criminals just leave. They don't even see if Harley Quinn's dead. So it's like if you hate her that much and like there's this bounty. So that's where eventually that kind of felt a little too gimmicky for me. That like I liked it all, but it was just if they really hate her, wouldn't they be after her in the prison cell every single
But at the same time, if you're blowing up a city block,
Yeah.
like, the cops are going to be on you pretty quick.
True. Then I
Like,
guess
look at the scene when they blow up the chemical plant and there's cops there in 30 seconds
Yeah.
because they're right around the corner.
Yeah, that one's fair enough. Then the prison one for me, it's just like she's not Batman. She didn't put them all here,
Yeah.
So it's like I would, especially too. These guys are in prison. They might not know
Well,
that.
she
Harley
kind of
Quinn's
did, though. It was
broken
her
up.
and Joker that put them there, wasn't
But
it?
they might not know that she's broken up, right? If they're in prison, like maybe word travels. But I just didn't
Word
think.
travels in prison too, though.
I liked the idea of her.
How do you know?
Whispering sweet nothings. I just think sometimes they went a little too far. I think they had a perfect
Yeah.
amount. Near the end, they went too much. So.
Yeah, that's fair. I was gonna say like all usages of like introducing like a character and then showing their grievance. I thought that was good. But like the best one for me was probably the dude with like the face tattoo. And then she's like, what are you talking about? Like, how is this my? And she's like, it was your decision.
You
like,
dared them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, I dare people to do things all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one was probably my favorite for like, other than like the individual had like voted for Bernie. I thought that was hilarious. That was Black Mask, right?
That was
yeah,
Black Mask.
yeah.
So is that saying he's mad at her because she voted for Bernie,
Yeah,
or
I
did
guess.
he vote for Bernie?
She voted for
She
Bernie.
voted for Bernie.
Oh wow, that's strange. Harley Quinn's on Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, there's a
support,
lot
you
of
know?
there's a couple like political
Or
ones in there. I
liberal.
don't
yeah.
remember all of them because they just happened so fast. But that was a funny touch.
Yeah.
It's just very divisive topic.
Eggplant X'd out too.
Yeah.
yeah.
One of those choreographed scenes when the guy's standing across from her and she has the bat and she throws it at the ground. It
Oh,
bounces
yeah.
That was
up
so
and then
great,
It goes
yeah.
back to her hand.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
fuck!
And that's where maybe I didn't like buy that the phone's gonna knock out Renee Montoya, but that's where again I like
I
the
love that.
I liked the leveling of again showing how dangerous she is because like put it down, she does it, and then right away she like quickly does this backspin kick and hits her, So I thought again they just like weaponized her so good to make it seem like she could slip at any situation. Obviously they kind of insinuate that Cassandra Cain taught her that, but when her and Montoya are handcuffed, like, are you drunk right now? But then later on when she flips out of it, Montoya's handcuffed. So
Yeah.
that's what I like. She was just like so sneaky and slippery. And
Yeah, that was cool too because
Yeah.
that was like once again due to like the bonding that she had
Yeah.
with Cassandra Cain kind of taught her that trick.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
she didn't really teach her that trick. Well,
It must have been off screen, I guess,
Yeah,
right? Because she says,
exactly.
you got to teach me that. So
she clearly learned the trick.
Yeah. Anything else? Oh, that's one thing I keep forgetting about. I want to show. Is one scene that didn't work for me when I was talking about like Kill Bill and style. Is I think maybe it was placed strangely. I don't know. Is the scene when Black Mask has Harley Quinn tied up? He's about to kill her and he smacks her, and we get the Marilyn Monroe like dance scene of her like with the pink dress, and it's the musical
Oh,
number.
and she's going crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if it was where it was placed. I don't know if it was the way the scene was because it's like a musical number, but it's like really quiet and you can tell like her head's gone. I think they could have just went full out and just done a full on musical number or not do it at all, or maybe do it when she had the cocaine. It just was to me a little weird placing of hitting. I don't know. It just felt a little. That's one of those beats that full on didn't work for me. I don't think they should take it out because it's nice and weird and kooky, but it was the placing and maybe editing of it where I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I should be loving this and I didn't, but
Interesting.
it was,
Yeah,
all right.
I really like that because it was just like he's basically just like telling her off and like this all these things, and she's so in another place right
Yeah,
now. It's
true.
like she's just wonking out. But like I do agree with you. I think it could have been edited a little bit more. I think the musical number could have been better because I definitely noticed it was a little bit quieter. And it was,
yeah.
maybe it was just like it was so disorienting that it, like you're not supposed to be fully engaged in it. I don't know. But overall, I like that scene. I know you weren't a big fan of like the cocaine in the trailer. How do you feel in the film?
No, I love the cocaine.
Oh,
trailer.
did you?
I don't know
He
where you
loves
are.
cocaine.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was Travis
Interesting.
2012.
We'll have to listen back.
No.
I'm pretty sure you said I don't know how I feel about Margot Robbie or Harley Quinn doing cocaine.
Oh yeah,
Margot Robbie doing
Yeah,
Fuck.
no, you gotta
They're
listen-
one and the
He
same.
probably meant it was like a bold play for them
Yeah.
to show
Yeah,
that.
fair enough.
I think that to me them doing it's the same way as Deadpool saying that he has cocaine, but it's just like
Mhm.
because it is one of those it's rated R. Maybe kids won't be watching, but still, it's like you're putting a superhero superhero comic book character that's very popular, and they're doing cocaine. I know it wasn't by her choice, but she's enjoying it. So no, I liked it. I like her using it as a weapon later on with the bags and everything like that. So yeah, I give the Travis stamp of approval for all that. So
it's got the stamp.
Yep.
So I wasn't a big fan of Renee Montoya, but there was one scene that I really liked, was when they're just like kind of introducing her and how they're explaining how she does these like Brooklyn cop like whatever lines. It's just like what was it? It was like 4 dead inside. I don't know what it was. I laughed pretty hard at that scene. I thought it reminded me of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine in a sense of just like that type of humor. So it
yeah,
worked for
that's
me.
fair.
Yeah,
I could see that.
but yeah,
Do you guys want to talk about the final battle scene?
yeah, sure.
I
loved it.
I loved it. I think it's I mean, there's so many like great set pieces in there. Like you can tell they had a lot of fun putting that whole thing together, whether it's like the big hand that she slaps together, like kind of like reminding me of Spy Kids or something. But then even like that thing that Huntress is jumping across to like mess that dude up. But yeah, that whole sequence was great, you know. And I like that like Harley Quinn just knows that place like the back of her hand, right? Like she knows about that secret hatch. She thought she knew about the weapons, and they happen to be like right there anyway.
Yeah.
But like, that whole thing was great. And I think even like that whole like it's almost like a carousel, those hands, and then she's on rollerblades too.
Yeah.
Like, just such a cool set piece. I think the dynamic, like the angles they shoot, right, of like how they keep cutting back between them all as they're fighting all these dudes. So I really liked that set piece. I think it was fun.
I really liked it. I like how she's like changed, and then because we're all just like what the hell? How did she change like that? And then I think with Black Canary, it was just like, how does she have time to do a wardrobe change?
Yeah.
I just thought it was great. But overall,
those gold like overalls were pretty. Hard
yeah, totally. And like you mentioned, like the little bouncy like tongues that Huntress was jumping on. I thought that was fun. And there's again just the fighting choreography and all these scenes was just phenomenal for me.
Yeah. No, I loved it. I love as a DC fan getting to see Music Mile because they mentioned it a few times, and I was like, are we actually going to go there? And we did. And just little touches like when she goes down the slide, we saw in the tread, but everyone's kind of like scared, and she's just laughing her ass off, Harley Quinn. And there's a moment where Huntress is like fighting a bunch of dudes, and then in the background, Harley Quinn's just like on a trampoline, like fighting dudes, but really just more enjoying it. And yeah, that moment with Huntress and the tongues was good, but I liked more that she saw these people, and she just smiled because she's just like a psychopath. She's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to mess up all these people. So it was just such a great set piece, the environment, everything, and it was really well done. That's one of my favorites, and it's even like when they're fighting and she's like, oh, you need to do up your hair, and it just it was lots of care taken.
Need a haircut, it was great because that was like really the only time in the movie they're all teamed up, the whole team, right?
Very quick they're teamed together, which I think worked because like I don't think you could ever fully be on a team with Harley Quinn. I think that'll show in again Suicide Squad, even the first one they tried that, but it's just I think she works to the dynamic enough, but she's always going to be a huge monkey wrench, right? But in this time it worked because she knows the place and she knows the characters and the players. So
and then like just before that scene, the little like shout out to her Suicide Squad outfit. It was like Daddy's Little Monster or whatever it was. That was
sentimental value.
Yeah, exactly.
That's again another like Easter egg to be like, oh yeah, it's still the same world. Like it's not exactly, but it's
And then the other Suicide Squad one was like the Captain Boomerang like wanted poster. I thought that was funny.
I know that guy.
Like, I know that guy.
Who he's coming back for Squad 2, so we might see them reunited.
It would have been funny if it was Slipknot on the
I would have been
poster,
so
like, I know that
hyped.
guy.
I would have been cheering in the theater, all 5 people.
Or they would have been like, do you know this guy? And she goes, no, I don't. And then she walks away.
Totally.
Tell you anything on the finale?
Just that house was just awesome. I loved it when they went down in the basement area and just it was super fun. Looked like I want to go there and like play around, have a good time.
Play around.
So yeah. But
what are you supposed to do with that carousel of hands? Like what is the actual
Probably like walk through it and not fall, I would imagine.
But they did create it that you could bend it, right? So maybe you could like maybe there's like balls you could put in there and you were supposed to shoot at each other, like in some place. Yeah, maybe
it's like a
that.
slingshot almost.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, they just made it as a weapon.
That moment
kind of inefficient, but
one disturbing when Zaz shoots Harley with the needle to trank her, but later on when she's like half alive and she's like stabbing him, and then Renee's like freeze, and she gets like one more in on him. Fuck, it was so good. She just has them, and the writers have that character down so pat. So that was a great moment.
That got the theater laughing in the auditorium.
Auditorium. Oh, sitting with Martin Scorsese at the cinema right now.
I really enjoyed that end scene when she's got like the one bullet left and she's like looking for like him in the smoke and she shoots and she misses. It hits the statue.
It was pretty well shot too. For like, I don't know, you can tell it was a statue with how he was holding the kid. I don't know. I liked it at least. And then he comes out just like, oh, you fucking idiot.
Oh.
And then when they're like apologizing to each other, he's like, "This is so gross! Like, stop it!" Like, yeah, there's some good stuff there.
I like too the build up to that scene when they're just making their way to the funhouse. There's like a remix of Barracuda that's like really slow, and
it was really good.
really sick.
Yeah.
And then obviously they do the regular Heart Barracuda in like the final battle
Yeah, whenever
sequence,
it's all fast paced,
which shows the Guitar Hero 3. But I really liked the use of that song because it's a fitting song. I mean, it's also just a classic rock song that everyone kind of recognizes, but the remix to build up to it was really cool. So
Totally. It fit well with the setting. It was very ominous and just like impending doom is coming. So I really liked it.
The overall score I found to be really awesome. I love the soundtrack. I love the music they use. So I'm gonna have
I think it was pretty solid.
check it on Spotify.
Was I have to check because the soundtrack I love, great tracks. I think it was a mix of like rock and roll and pop and like it was like even a little rap. Like it was a kind of collection of everything. I don't know if there was even much score. I'd have to listen.
More soundtrack for sure.
Yeah, but I'd like to see if it's even scored at all because like I can't remember a single piece of music that's not licensed. But
Yeah, there's no like themes.
yeah, but I think this is at least more on the Guardians level where with Squad we always talk about how like unnatural those songs feel like they fit, right? It's just like
Right, it's like-
cutscene.
Let's just take some big top
Yeah.
10 level songs and throw them in there.
Where this felt like it fit with
There was
what's
some good
going on.
syncing to some hits.
Yeah.
Sometimes it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't Baby Driver, but
Yeah.
it's pretty solid.
Yeah. Anything else?
I have one my one criticism of this movie is that I feel like this whole movie feels like Gotham is like a one block wide. Like there's so many character connections that just feel very contrived to me. Whether that's like Huntress is like after these dudes, she has like this lifelong journey to like take out these 4 dudes, and then they both are just like in Gotham, and they're both after Harley Quinn at the exact same time. It just felt like kind of coincidental. And then even like to me the cop having like that connection with Black Canary felt really like just contrived. And then even Black Canary being neighbors with the girl who ends up stealing the diamond that sets off this whole thing, but then Black Canary is also the driver for the guy who wants the diamond. Like it just felt like Gotham was I felt like it was like one block wide. There was way too many. It felt like Star Wars, where like everyone's the son or daughter, parent of someone for like no reason.
Was it Metropolis is like next across the bay or whatever?
In Gotham. Is
Yeah.
that true in this timeline?
Well, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
it
what
would
that.
be.
I don't know how that has to do with what.
I don't
they
know
say.
really.
Well,
sure
it's just
that's
because you
what
said
I'm
like
saying.
everything's like a block away, so it's funny how Superman City is literally just like across
Yeah,
like,
where's
the
Superman in this
puddle,
film?
across the pond. So
Yeah.
everything's close.
Yeah, and that's even like it's funny that the cops were like right by the chemical plant when it blew up,
Yeah.
but and it's also like and then they found her necklace in like 30 seconds. Like I don't know, it just felt there was a lot of like just little contrived plot points that don't really bother me because I don't know. It's like I don't really take this movie too seriously. I think it's more about the storytelling than the story itself, right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the one criticism. Like if I was still a numbers man, I was throwing numbers at this movie, like that would take a point or two down for me because I felt like, yikes, like they didn't really put a ton of thought into some stuff. They kind of just threw it all in there, threw it in a blending machine, in a blender, and just like let it happen,
Should they have added like an extra like half an hour, 40 minutes?
I don't know
No.
because I think the pacing was great. I think if you were to add anything, all I'd want is like maybe a couple more scenes with mostly Huntress, but just like some more dialogue between the bird. Like I know it's tricky because like the point is they all kind of culminate in this final battle, and you can't really do it afterwards because Harley kind of leaves and stuff. But I don't know. I think I would have just liked some more dialogue just between your main birds.
I think you could have extended like even because they're all at that. It's like a diner, right, at the end. When
Pineapple
fuck up.
Express.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Yeah.
Like maybe even like on their way there, they're kind of
Because Harley made her decision like during.
Yeah, exactly.
That scene.
I feel like if you were to extend anything, you might do it there just to give a little bit more like I don't know blending with the characters. But overall, I am happy with the pace.
Yeah, me too. When we got to the final battle, it's pretty long, and then there's like also the car chase sequence, so it like still goes on for another half an hour or so. But I was like, oh wow, we're here already. Like, cool. Like this is moving along quickly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's not a frequent experience I have at theaters these days.
No.
It feels like okay, we got another
Not
hour
DC
in
movies.
this puppy. Yeah.
Hit Chapter 2 is 3 hours. James Bond's going to be 3 hours.
Is it actually 3 hours?
Yeah,
Chapter 2?
Yeah, James Bond's going to be 3 hours. But it's funny, Joker was 2 hours.
Irishman 3.5.
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah.
off.
Joker was 2 hours. This was an hour 50. I bet you Wonder Woman will be longer just because it's a bigger scope. But you never know. Maybe.
Sequel, yeah. Well, I guess this is kind of a sequel too.
You never know. Maybe it's just because it's just her and there's no having to set anything up. It's just
Yeah, there's no origin story.
yeah. You never know.
You never know.
You
Black
never
Widow's
know.
supposed to be 4 hours though, so that's great. No.
That was kind of all my points.
Mhm.
Once again, costume design's great.
Oh,
It's so many
phenomenal.
iconic. The one she has at the end too, with like the blue. I don't know what the fuck you'd call it. It's
I
like
want
almost like a
that-
Beatles costume or
The
something.
blazer I want.
Oh,
I
that
want
looks
everything
sick.
Harley Quinn and
Yeah,
Roman
everything she
have.
wears is fantastic.
What is your favorite costume? Mine personally, I'd say is the roller derby.
the golden overalls?
I'd say
No,
when-
like her one when she had like the helmet and like.
oh, with the pigtails.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever?
yeah. I thought
That's
that one
ripped
was
right out of the New 52 comic as
Oh,
well.
is it?
Oh, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
fun. I
Yeah.
like that.
Jeez, I honestly I think I'm kind of just for the original one where she has like the frilly shoulder thing. I don't know. I like that. Colorful. They're all good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really like the cop one where it's like Harley fucking Quinn. Like the shirt she was wearing, I really like that. It was fun. And like
You buy that
the
shirt on Hot Topic?
like the bandoli or whatever the fuck it's called, the ammo belt. I tried the authentic word, but I choked on it.
Bandolier.
Bandolier. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I like how you saw me like drowning. You're like, I have it. I have the answer.
I won't save him. No, for me, it's still that one when she blows up Ace Chemicals, the jacket that I will not buy, but I want to buy because I have no reason to wear. But it's like it has all like the caution tape on it and the strigglies and like the shinies,
Yeah.
and then she has the outfit. But honestly, they're all the outfits I really enjoyed. It's just, but yeah, and next that is that blazer at the end when it's just like it's looking like some Eddie Guerrero, the wrestler. It's like the flames, bedazzled, everything like that. If I
She's
can
got the
find,
shades too.
yeah, if I can find a blazer like that, but less than the bedazzled part, I'll take it.
Did
And
she have that like sided cheek tattoo in
She had the Ron tattoo.
Ron.
Yeah, I wish it was gone. 'Cause
I
she
wish it
got,
was gone,
Yeah,
yeah.
she got rid of some, and then they like crossed out some. I wish she got rid of that one because it's just like it's just a lame tattoo. It just
Yeah.
reminds me of like, all right,
You
some
see
guy-
it. You're more aware of it in this movie because it's more focused on her.
Yeah.
She had a tattoo of rotten on her.
Yeah, under the heart,
It's,
like,
like, right
there.
here.
The good thing is, like, when it's an action, you can't see a lot, but whenever it's that, just like kind of reminds me there's some fucker with this damage
I guess
tattoo. on his
damage
face.
was
It-
taken.
it's the
so-
equivalent of damage. Right?
Yeah, it is.
So she didn't have that in squad.
Yeah, she did.
She
Because
did.
during the track, I'm like, oh, I hope this is gone.
Right, it's rotten and damaged.
Yeah, but it's still there.
Yeah. That's
Thanks, David Ayer.
Yeah.
Final thoughts and scores?
Overall, I was pleasantly surprised. I feel like going into it, the reason why I wasn't too hyped is just because I had Suicide Squad like vibes going into
Yeah.
it. So it's like I kind of got excited for that movie and was let down. So
You also
I don't-
hate anyone but men. You know, it's all men.
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
It's like female director, right?
Yeah. What
It's
is
like,
this?
what is
Female
this?
writers? What's going on? You
I'm
know?
not paying for this. But definitely pleasantly surprised. The cast overall was great. The villain was awesome. I love seeing
Awesome.
Ewan McGregor. I feel like he's just like emerging. I don't know. I feel like he was like
He's
sleeping for a
emerging
little
at
bit.
the age of 50.
Well, I feel like he was like
It's a
he-
renaissance.
He, was
Yeah,
popping off,
renaissance.
and then he was sleeping for a little bit,
McGregor
and now he's
songs.
back.
But then
It was just
Doctor
like
Sleep.
Doctor Sleep, right? You know this.
Yeah.
He's-
Obi-Wan's coming
Obi-Wan's
out.
coming out.
The
He's-
McGregor songs. Yep.
the McGregor songs. I like that.
You will remember. me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just low expectations and definitely pleasantly surprised. I think I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 for this one. I was.
That's spicy.
It's funny.
Favorite film of the year?
So far, what else has come out?
No.
Probably.
Underwater.
What
The
else has
Grudge.
come out? The Grudge.
Did you love Underwater The Grudge, Kirklin?
No. I don't. Yeah, I feel like I haven't really seen too many movies this year.
So prediction: will Sonic pass this next week for your favorite movie of the
You're
year?
excited about Sonic. You're
I'm
stoked.
very, very excited.
Oh,
I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie. So maybe it'll have like the opposite effect that this had, where I'm really hyped and then I'll be let down. Whereas this one I was really unhyped. But I'm expecting big things
Gotta
from
go
Sonic.
fast.
But yeah, 9 out of 10. Let's keep it going, Margot.
I will give this 70 birds in a flock out of 79.
Damn.
That's my score.
That's pretty high.
Yeah. I think that's technically higher than Kirkland.
I don't know.
You've drifted away from the numbers thing, but I feel like this is like closely coming back
I
to
just
the
meme
numbers.
on it now. I don't
Someone-
take it seriously because
someone
birds
could
can
break
always
down that
leave.
math.
You know, some birds might leave the flock. Some
Might go
more might join
migrate.
the flock. Now the
They're
flock's out of
migrating.
100. Yeah, exactly.
They're leaving. They'll be back.
Yeah, in the winter it's lower than in the summer.
Tiffil.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this movie a 9.5 out of 10.
Oh,
Ooh.
get fucked. Kirkland, take that.
I was thinking Suicide Squad got fucked.
I wanted. Well, that's the thing. Like, I
Wait,
wanted.
yeah,
to give
you
this,
like? So you like this is higher rated than Suicide Squad?
I-
Well, Will Smith isn't in it, right?
Yeah, Will
He loves
Smith,
Right, and that's 2
definitely-
points.
Yeah, if this was Will Smith and Harley Quinn, though, that'd be
Ooh.
fucking like 11 out of 10. But for me in this case, it's like I hate that Black Mass died. That really takes me down a notch. So 0.5 a point I'm taking down because he was just so good throughout the movie. I really enjoyed him. I loved all like the performances and the characters' development and seeing more of these characters that I don't know, in Batman's universe. Like I grew up thinking, okay, I got Joker, Mr. Freeze, Penguin, Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Bane.
The Raw Dog and Penguin.
Yeah, Raw Dog and Penguin. So it's so cool to see them branch out beyond and incorporate so many new characters. And I'm just kind of like biting my gums for Scarecrow to come in here.
Biting your gums.
Biting your gums. I think you say ankles.
What the fuck is that? Is that like? I feel like that's something like an old person could relate to.
I just like to
rock
listen
those dentures.
You listed off all these Batman villains. You're like, oh, Catwoman, Penguin, Riddler, and that's like the roster of the next movie. I love that.
Is that the roster?
Well, yeah, they're not expanding the world anymore so much in that Batman.
Wow, they're regressing.
Yeah.
0
I
10.
love it. I was just naming off everyone from like those early Tim Burton and
where
like
have you
all
been?
those
We've
movies.
talked about this on newscasts so many times.
It's just completely. It was like
Fair enough.
We'll get Calendar
Completely
Man
like
one day.
Fachu.
bringing Calendar Man,
That's
Condiment
him.
King. Those are the guys I
Calendar
want.
Man?
Calendar
Yeah.
Man and Condiment King.
And there's Kite Man. No, I'm joking.
Kite Man.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Mega Man villains.
I love this movie. Like I've said, other than Justice League, DC is on a roll. You got Wonder Woman, you got Aquaman, you got Joker, you got this. I'm very confident Wonder Woman will at least be a good movie and a big hit. But and you got Shazam. People love Shazam. It was a hit. I love what they're doing. I love the MCU. But man, I'm just so much more excited for DC because of films like this and Joker and Aquaman, because it's just we're getting so much variety right now. And I loved it. And we're joking about, memeing about, but like I said the same thing with Wonder Woman. It's great to have female writers and directors because they do a different perspective and things that I would take. The same way we talked about like the less sexuality. It's like I didn't think that was something we needed with Harley Quinn. That's what I love. Like that's not even an issue here. So it's just like Kathy Yan, I'm excited to see what she does next. Whether it's a sequel to this, whether it's something else, I'll follow her. And the writer, like I said, like Bumblebee, this, like she is just like, and they're letting her do background Flash. So Warner Brothers, like, we're keeping this writer, and I think that's good because those are two great, solid movies, and I think she just has like such a talent. And shout out to Margot Robbie because she's a producer of this film, and you listen to every interview after Suicide Squad, she got to choose which project they did, and she read a bunch of comics. She's like, I really like this idea of Birds and Prey and this girl gang type of movie, and that's why I hope for the next few weeks it does get support more or becomes a cult classic, because I think there's many women out there that do like action and do want stuff like this. I think maybe some of the lack of success could have to do with it is a sequel to Squad, and people, I think, Squad gets memed a lot. Squad I think is usually considered bottom of the barrel in the DC world. So I hope it finds its audience, but for me, this is a movie I watch again and again. Shout out to crew, Margot Robbie, all of the cast and crew, Yane, the writer, everybody. They just knocked it out of the park, and it's kind of Ragnarok where I can't give it the perfect 10, but it's a movie I just know I'm going to rewatch a bunch. So, I'll top it up. I'll go 9.6.
Hey.
Yeah.
Just fucking guy.
Just give them that. Like I said, my only cons were kind of like some things that Dylan said. I agree with them. Like there's some kind of too many coincidences. There's some kind of very hand wavy. It's like, oh, we're just doing this because we need the plot to move forward. There's some weird stuff, but even then, like those are 0.4. I enjoyed this so much. This was everything I hoped for and more. And I do hope we get more because I love this world that they set up. I want to continue living in Harley Quinn's like weird mind. And I know we see her next year in Squad. That's great, but I want more movies like this where she's a protagonist. And like I said, it touched me a lot more than I thought it was going to be. And that's probably another reason it's enjoyable, but it really spoke to me, and I was not expecting that to happen at all. And I think it's, some people might say the story's basic, but those emotional themes with Harley Quinn, I think they really hit a home run, and they ran back, they hit it again, and they hit another home run. 3 home runs and 1 hit.
3 home runs, 1 hit.
Just like that kneecap. The same way she went that's what she did home run. She hit it, ran back, and hit it again. So
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Took the words
exactly.
out of my mouth.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this review. Next week is Sonic. There'll be some other stuff popping off all the time. Just go subscribe, like we talked about at the beginning. So thank you very much for tuning in to this review. We appreciate all you do for the Geek First. We promise you when you hear from us next time, it'll not be boring.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Oh, I thought you were going to take the Briggs later nerds there for a second.
Later, nerds. I heard it like in my mind as I was starting to speak.